That's a mistake.
Moving on now. Now, Dr. Karen Sutherland from the University of the Sunshine Coast. She is joining us live now. Good morning to you, Dr. Karen.
Hi, how are you?
Very well. Now, talk to us about the land of TikTok, because I personally don't actually use it, but there is so much noise out there going on at the moment in regards to the security concerns. Why is this happening?
Well, because apparently, first, there's two things going on. Firstly, TikTok is owned by a company called ByteDance, which is situated in China. So there are fears that the company is going to give our data, TikTok users' data, to the Chinese government. So that's a fear. The other thing is TikTok is gathering, according to some experts, a lot of data on its users. So as one last week, an expert actually pulled the app apart and just to see what was going on, and they said it is actually gathering a huge amount of data compared to other platforms such as Facebook, and it's not just what people are doing in the app, it's also what they're doing on their phone. So there's two huge concerns around that, just the amount of data and then the fact that there are links to China.
Dr. Karen, what I don't understand is that, with social media platforms, with the increase of these, why though more so are we worried about TikTok? Is it because of the origins of the company and where it's coming from? I mean, surely, Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and so many of these other platforms would be able to access that same sort of information. Is it just a matter of this being that it's a company from China?
I think a lot of the fears are around that, yes. And that's what a lot of companies are coming out. So last week, India banned the app, and it was really in response to, an incident that happened at the border between India and China where some soldiers were killed. And so the response, I'm sure there are other responses, but one of the main responses from India was to ban, I think it was something like 59 Chinese apps because they saw them as security concerns. And then off the back of that, the United States is talking about banning it. And this week it also came up again in Australia. So I think yeah, the country of origin. But TikTok has offices in cities all around the world. They have senior management from the US. So they're trying to really distance themselves from China. This week they announced they were actually stopping operations in Hong Kong because China has come out with this new national security law that will really impact their powers on being able to actually take that data. But the whole way through this, TikTok has been saying that our servers aren't even in China, so there's no concern around that. But they are still pulling out of Hong Kong. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this unfolds.
Do you have any statistics on the ages of people that are using it? I mean, at the moment, it is believed that young people are the ones that have adopted TikTok, and they seem to be the people having the concerns with Scott Morrison and, reaching out and saying, don't ban TikTok, don't ban it. Do you know what the age bracket is?
Well, in Australia, there are 1.6 million Australians using the app, and 1.2 million of those were born after 1997. So it's largely a group, because how we have to lump everyone into age groups. So this group is called the Gen Alphas, and they were born between 2010 and they're yet to be born 2025. And then Gen Z. So Gen Alphas make up 540,000 of users, and Gen Z, so people born after 1997, between that 2012 sort of age, 2010 age group, there's about 670,000 of those. So I guess more Gen Z, but Gen Alpha is starting to pick it up. So it's largely a younger person's app, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Karen, there is this sort of new Twitter campaign that young people are sort of mainly behind, I would say, at the moment, begging Scott Morrison not to ban TikTok. We've just got a little bit of audio here. Take a listen.
Interestingly enough, just while we're getting that.
Andrew, I'm sorry, you've had several questions. Andrew, I'm sorry. Andrew, I know, but you don't run the press conference, okay? So I'm going to go to other questions of members of the group. Catherine hasn't had a question. I'm happy to return to you, but let's just keep it civil. Andrew? Catherine.
Interestingly enough, that was just why I think that Scott Morrison in particular may not ban TikTok because, you know, there was lots of interviews with Scott Morrison during that time where that press conference turned into a viral sensation, you know, with TikTok. You know, I think he might, because he's been such a big part of the growth, I would say, early on, maybe he'll see it a little bit differently. I mean, the major question we have is, do you personally think that Scott Morrison is going to ban it in Australia?
Look, I think if he did, there was an expert came out this week and said that he doesn't think that Scott Morrison will, because it will severely damage relations with China. So honestly, I don't know, but if our other allies are doing it and it becomes, you know, part of sort of the mainstream decision, then well, maybe there'll be pressure, that sort of peer pressure to do it. But I mean, Scott Morrison has been absolutely slammed on TikTok as well.
I know, but I think he's loving it. Is it just me, or do you think he's loving it?
When he went AWOL in Hawaii earlier in the year, you should have been up there. They were amazing. And what I love is that younger people are actually taking an interest and creating content in and around politics, which never actually happens. Normally they just don't care. So,
it's an incentive that we need. Like, I think if we're going to get young people into politics via TikTok, then maybe it's a good thing.
Yes, and we can do some
Yeah,
Lisa Rinna dancing while we're at it. Dr. Karen, we really appreciate your time and your insight on this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.